Episode 60 of Take As Needed is brought to you by Soulita Soap.
My name is Jimmy.
Where's the crack?
My name is Jimmy.
What the fuck?
It's a special one with a special co-host. I got my boy Sound from Complex Ambition.
It's a pleasure to be here. You
What's good, bro?
know what I'm saying? Long awaited sit down right here.
I'm gonna start off with I never ask corny questions like this, but how was your day?
Man, how was my day? Today, I woke up a bit later than I thought I was going to wake up because, I planned on waking up because I forgot we had to do like a whole little setup for my boy. It was his birthday. So we went to sleep a bit later. Yeah, Marloon. So we went to sleep a bit later than I expected. But, the day's been smooth, man. Typical just supporting my girl, to be honest, with the whole pregnancy situation. And now moving out, living on my own, with her, basically.
You guys lived together before?
Yeah, we lived together before, but it was most of the time at my parents' house. We had our privacy, but not to the extent that you have when you're fully moved out, how we are now.
Yeah.
And that's what, I've been hoping for, but we kind of expedited the process due to her being pregnant. We were like, we got to do this, especially if we can afford it, which we can, let's do it, right now. So we did it. And that's just been good so far. I love it. I love, having peace of mind, being in myself more, not worrying about someone coming in the room, simple things like that. But definitely at the same time, you got to, adjust to that adulting. You really got to, take care of everything. The typical shit that people do already. But, not if you're, a child or a teenager or a young adult now going to full on adult life. You got to remember to take out the trash, the dishes, everything, all the typical life shit.
All that shit adds up, man.
Yeah, so, it's been just adjusting to that, but, I can't complain. It's a blessing. We got homeless people, so I'm good. Thank God.
How easy or hard has it been? Because let's completely dive into it. Supporting your girl. People don't understand what that means sometimes when they're not up and coming parents, for lack of a better word. Your girl goes through a lot, and sometimes they don't even realize it. My daughter's mother, and it's funny because people are always talking about let's have kids, and they don't understand even it's hard, but you can make it easy by communicating well. And just making sure that you guys keep in mind both you and her, whoever's in the situation, you're going through so many emotions and changes and hormones, and I can't imagine how much a woman is going through when they're carrying a life, you know what I'm saying, until that day that they have to push it out, which is crazy.
It's crazy. I think about it all the time. I've always told myself I gotta try to discuss this more, because I feel like guys you don't really hear the side of it. You see the beautifulness of it. Obviously it's a beautiful thing, but you really never see. And if you do see a side, it's really the woman's side, the girl's side. But guys really don't talk about how was it when you were having a baby with your girl? How did you, go day by day? The moments of stress, the arguments, the confusion, living up to that expectation that you see society, they paint it oh, have a child. And it's oh, have a child is beautiful. It's having a baby. It's having a little cat or a little dog. But it's not at all.
It's not.
People think this shit's bro, this is a whole life that you're bringing into this world.
It's crazy, yeah.
And it's not about just simple stuff just how you do with an animal. You got to feed it, raise it. Not raise. Let's not say raise. Let's say you got to feed it, keep it safe, typical stuff. But when it's an actual child, you have to manifest the entire energy that you're gonna put into that life once it's born, and you got to manifest that before they're born. So my girl, day to day, she has pain, or she has her back problems, or she feels the baby kicking, in that moment, in those times, it's important to connect, because you do connect with her, and then once the baby's born, they say that the connection is way more smoother. The transition to actually having them in your hands and all that stuff is less awkward, and for the baby itself, like, it's just a natural and, like, smooth way to go about it. And people don't really discuss that. Like, they think it's like, just, thankfully I don't gotta be, out of the house all day, like working 9 to 5. Like, I'm an entrepreneur, and I've afforded that to myself from, working hard and just, being good with scheduling. So I'm basically, available to whenever she kind of needs me. So that's a benefit. But if it wasn't really for that, I guess it definitely would be a very heavy struggle. Cause like, she randomly just needs me. Like, right now, she's probably texting me as we speak. Like, that's how it is, and I guess there are stories where it's the opposite, where once a woman becomes pregnant, she hates the guy, and like, she doesn't want them around.
Yep.
And like, it's like, even especially leading up to the actual birth, like the labor, going into labor, and the wife doesn't even want the husband around. Like, get out of here, your face hurt, disgusts me. But with her, it's been the opposite.
It's a blessing. Yeah.
It's like she's like attached to me, almost as if literally my child is like attached to me through her. Like, he's speaking through her. So, I have to cater to her needs 24/7.
It's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
And it's like, a lot of dudes will look at the conversation we're having right now as like, oh, these niggas are simping or whatever.
Yeah,
and it's
like,
yo, like, we really gotta normalize. And it's crazy that it hasn't been normalized, but like, I just feel like the problem with like that situation is like, I feel like dudes just have kids too young, and they're not, no one's ready to have a kid. Let's be real.
Yeah.
And you're gonna learn that, but if you're the right person, I feel like you just something inside you just like fucking just blossoms. For this is the corniest I've ever been on this podcast, but people know that like, I'm a dad first, so like, something inside you just like turns on. Yeah,
no, it's unexplainable, to be honest. It's just it's a natural thing. Mm-hmm. I think it's just instinct that comes in. Like, almost like an animal instinct. Like, you see how these animals, the big bear protects the cubs, and like that whole like, natural, family energy. I think that, we have to embrace that more. And especially coming from a male perspective, I mean, it's always been a thing though. Like, obviously even embracing a relationship, like in the public's eyes, it becomes corny. Yeah. Unless you're like a rapper. Like, if it's Moneybagg Yo and his girl, then it's fly. But if it's like homie down the street and his girl, you look at it like, what the fuck? Like, this, you're young. Live your life. Yeah. Like, bro, what are you talking about? This is my life.
If you don't mind me asking, then you can keep it a mystery if you want.
Oh, I don't mind.
Planned or unplanned?
The baby was unplanned. Definitely unplanned.
Wow.
Yeah, it was unplanned. I don't know. Like, it was a matter of, we knew we were gonna have a child. Like, we wanted one.
Of course, yeah. Because how many years has it been? Like,
me and her, we've been together 5 years now.
Word.
And I don't see myself with anyone else other than her. So I always told myself, like, yeah, I'm definitely gonna have a child with her. Like, why would I even question it? But it was a matter of timing. She's still in school. I recently just graduated in May, so that was taking up most of my time. And with school, it takes up most of her time. So I was like, at least let's wait till she graduates. Hopefully she graduates this year if things, align. So if we were to have one, it would have been probably within the next 2 years.
Word.
But I don't know. She really,
married?
she was taking her the pills. She was on the pill. Everything was fine. But
wow.
I think she might have like forgot it 1 week.
Damn.
She forgot to pop it 1 week or something. And it was what it was.
And we don't like pulling out like Latino men.
No, yeah, I don't. No. I haven't pulled out maybe in 10 years. Like, I don't.
Oh, shit!
Even in my previous relationship.
My boy got the first NY made fucking button of the night. Probably the first of many.
Yo,
that's crazy.
To be honest, I've always been that. Especially like, I'm a relationship guy. If I'm in a relationship, I'm in a relationship, and especially if she has the pill, she's been taking it for a while, whatever, I trust and confide in that. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. There's some people who, they might go into the fight with 2 bulletproof vests. They'll have the pill, and then you take the wear the condom. I'm not part of that party. I'm not a fan of that right there.
Yo, I hear that. You just saw you saw the video that I posted today.
I might have
from the podcast. I was pretty much like, yo, I don't like condoms. I said it mad low, but I was like, I don't like condoms.
I feel like you said that in previous clips.
Oh before. Yeah, I think I've made it pretty fucking known, right? And it's funny because like let's see, like you've been with your girl for 5 years. Like I'm not the type to like really be. We're talking about relationship shit right now. I'm not the type to like. I don't enjoy the single life because like. Number one, I just don't enjoy the single life. I don't like the whole like limbo, like just
the chase,
fucking with strangers. And just fucking around with strangers. It's a weird life to me. All power to like whoever lives it and who's down for it or whatever.
Yeah.
But I'm definitely not a part of. Let me like be specific. I'm not part. I don't enjoy like the hoeing single life. I don't fuck with that. Yeah. Especially because like part of me is like a simp, and I feel like the other part of me is like. Yo, I just don't like pulling out, nigga. Like, I don't like wearing condoms. So, like, I need to get to know you. Obviously, when I'm getting to know somebody, I wear the rubber, whatever. But like,
yeah. I mean, I'm all for like protection in the sense of like, I got boys that they be raw dogging, but their girls don't wear or don't use the pill.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, bro, you gotta strap up because you're gonna have a baby randomly.
I've asked a few people this: would you rather have a baby or an STD? And it's no specific. It's kind of like wild card STD.
A wild card STD.
Average STD would probably be like chlamydia or like just something that's curable. So just keep that in mind. Like that's the average one, but could be that chance that you could get AIDS. So like, would you rather have an STD or a kid?
Maybe. Damn, that's a tough one. It's tricky. You know what I'm saying? No. If I had Magic Johnson money, I might just say straight up STD.
What's up with that dude?
STD, because he might have the cure and no one knows.
Like, what's up with that dude? No one really questions that.
No, I think he literally has the cure.
Let me look up how old he is.
He literally has to have the cure because, he has children. They're famous. They're in the public eye, but they never address, like, if he has AIDS.
61.
Doesn't he pass? Damn. Yeah. Doesn't he pass? Don't you pass on AIDS like your children? Isn't that how it works?
I think so. I'm gonna look that up because I look up everything.
I think that's how it literally is. Because what if it's not the case, and what is the fear of necessarily getting that AIDS other than obviously dying?
The total life expectancy for someone with HIV is 39 years.
Wow. Yeah, he's almost doubled that expectancy.
That's fucking nuts.
He has to have the cure. No one really talks about it, but it's something that you just know if you know. And he's only getting richer. So if he doesn't have the cure, he's gonna get it soon. Because he's only getting richer.
The Lakers.
He's a part, I think, owner of the Lakers. But I know he's a part owner of the Dodgers.
Yeah. That's fucking crazy.
He's just getting richer and richer. So that's something that has to be,
If you have the HIV and take the HIV and take HIV medicine as prescribed throughout pregnancy and childbirth and give HIV medicine to your baby for 4 to 6 weeks. Wow. Imagine that.
So they can avoid if they do that?
And give HIV medicine to your baby for 4 to 6 weeks after giving birth. Your risk of transmitting HIV to your baby can be 1% or less.
Wow. See, I didn't know that. So you can literally avoid it.
I mean, that's good, but imagine giving your kid like fucking HIV.
Yeah, you would have to literally like be on top of that shit though. And a lot of people become careless, especially if you're your first son, your first child, So yeah, man, that's crazy.
Yeah, that is
but I
wild.
guess, I'll take the in that case, since I know that fact, I'll take the STD before the baby.
I feel like you might change. We'll do this again, I'm sure, at some point. But like, I'll take your answer after you have your baby.
After he's born. Yeah, I know, right?
Oh boy, what did you want?
A boy. I really didn't care. Like my girlfriend.
That's the perfect answer. That's obviously everybody's answer. But like, I feel like deep down we always, we're like, oh, I want.
Yeah, like my girl would always like say like she wanted a girl, but then she felt like it was a boy for some reason, and then she had this whole like theory that it's a boy, a boy, and she would get mad at me because I really wouldn't care. I'd be like, no, I really don't care. Like it's whatever it is, it's fine with me. I just want the baby to be born healthy. You know, but since she cared so much, I was like, all right, since you do care, let's have a dope gender reveal. And we had like that big fireworks
Bro, that was
thing.
a fucking movie.
Yeah, appreciate it.
That was a movie.
That shit looked like a Snyder cut. That shit was extra with the dark tones. I had the little Joker dark tones.
Word. Yeah,
dark colors.
It did. You knew what you were doing.
All I needed was some captions, and then that's it.
Yeah.
Nah, but yeah, I wanted to do it dope like that. You know, that way we can look back at that and be like, oh, that was fire. You know, some memorable shit. So, you know, I was like, all right, we'll do that. And it was a boy. You see the blue fireworks, but you know, it's really about the baby being born and healthy. And to be honest, there's people who get to know the gender beforehand, but once the baby's born, sometimes there's rare cases where it's not what it was predicted to be. Like the doctors, machines were just wrong, and it ends up being a girl, completely a girl, like right there in the birth. And I'm like, oh, whoa, you know, that literally has happened before too. So, you know, we just leave it all in God's hands, you know. Especially now, we've become more accustomed to, you know, gender neutral, and then people transitioning and being open to their own identity. So, you know, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter to me. I'm not putting too much weight on it, you know.
Yeah.
To be honest, I don't care too much.
With you being, because I just talked about this on the last episode, and I explained on the last episode. I didn't explain it in the clip that was on Instagram, which is, I know a lot of people, because podcasts are so, and I appreciate this regardless, like a lot of people with podcasts like being kind of hard to listen to for some people, even me sometimes, the IG clips are what people kind of rely on. So I had a funny IG clip where I was kind of like, yo, like people are getting mad at gender reveals right now. It's a big thing. With you being kind of out there, but not kind of, you're pretty out there on YouTube. You're big. We'll get into that later. I definitely wanted to ask you some more about that. But with you being on YouTube the way you are, did you get any type of like just any backlash at all about doing a gender reveal the way you did it, or just doing a gender reveal period? Because I think that, and we could have like an open discussion about it right here. Like it's completely fine, whatever your beliefs are on it. But I feel a lot of people are shitting. There's a lot of people out there who are shitting on gender reveals in general because of the whole like gender neutral, I guess, movement, I guess you could say. They feel like it's almost like offensive for anyone to have a gender reveal because you're assuming that your child is a boy.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it definitely is something that, especially after having a gender reveal, I was thinking about it more. Like, I really wasn't, because like I said before, I really didn't care. It was really more for her. So I really didn't care about planning it or going into it. But that was like, all right, I kind of kicked into like a high gear last moment and went all out. I was like, all right, so you want to do it? Let's go above and beyond. But, you know, after having it, I really didn't, you know, because my YouTube audience really mostly lives on YouTube because that's where the most following is. So we haven't really discussed it on YouTube at all. I plan on doing it.
They follow. I'm assuming they.
But
follow
they definitely
you.
follow.
Yeah,
they definitely follow.
Because you guys put your IGs on the bottom.
Yeah, definitely. No, definitely. They definitely follow. But it's like it's hard to understand. Like when you're in that world, you see it more and you understand it more. Like how, like the YouTube world, like that's like there's literally like I posted it on Twitter and on Instagram that I'm having a child, but I haven't posted it like a clip or a video on YouTube. So like there's probably the majority of the fans don't really know at all because they don't really check unless they're really die hard and they're up to date. They really don't check. You know, I can notice that because randomly I'll get like a message on or comment on a post from like 2 weeks ago. They'd be like, "What? You're having a baby?
Yeah. I
just logged on Instagram. What? I didn't even know. I've been on social media." Like that type of energy, you know. So I haven't all I've seen has been positive stuff. So it's because it's been like it hasn't transitioned into like that YouTube world fully. It's been just like the main supporters, the friends, the family. So it's been really positive. But I did see like a random someone like quote retweeted the reveal in like a positive light, like a stranger, and it was dope. But then someone responded to them, but it was like a random, like, you know, these weird accounts that really don't even have an avatar or nothing.
Yeah.
And they don't even have really much of a following or personal photos, just those random accounts, like burner accounts. And then someone was responding to them, like, sort of like saying what you, like that sort of topic, like, oh, but we really shouldn't be doing gender reveals no more, like that whole type of idea. And I looked at that and I was like, wow, like I was like, okay, I understand where they're coming from, but I was like, oh, I didn't expect it to, you know, because first of all, I don't know you, you know, it's my child, you know, I do whatever I would like to do with my child, and that's it. and that's how it should be, especially when that's fucking a child. That's
you
close.
Didn't watch the video on IG today, and you said what I said.
Oh yeah.
So I literally said, it's not your fucking. I literally said verbatim, it's not your fucking kid.
Oh wow, see, and that's how I felt immediately.
I talked about this on the podcast last week. I feel like everything is so extreme. That's my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
I think that a lot of people will agree. I think that some things are a long time coming, but I also think that some things are a little too extreme. And I say extreme in the sense that we can't have like a common, we can't just like agree to disagree anymore. We can't have like a common, reach a common ground. Like,
pretty crazy.
I feel like you can have your beliefs on like someone else in this room, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can have your beliefs on like, I don't respect gender reveals. I think you're just assuming the gender or whatever. Me and Sound can sit here and be like, you know what? I believe in boy or girl, and I'm gonna do this gender reveal, boy or girl, and that's fine. We can agree to disagree.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like a lot of people are favoring, that like, oh, we have to just dead boy or girl. Yeah. And it's like, if some people believe in that, it's almost like, and I'm not the most religious person, but it's almost like religion. Like we can't take, I'm not the most religious person, and I'll sit here and say, we can't take religion away from people. We can't sit here and take away beliefs that people have had for fucking billions and billions of years. Like just because somebody, a movement, a group of people are like, yo, like, fuck that, we don't believe in that anymore. Yeah. And it kind of is weird to me. Like, I don't know how you feel about it, bro. And I respect anybody's opinion who comes on here. Everybody knows I'm very opinionated, so they come on here knowing that. Yeah, definitely. I just feel like it's too much. Like, and I played a clip on here last week from Sarah Silverman. She's a comedian.
100%. Yeah.
She's been super open about, and I respect the shit out of it. She's been super open about being a Democrat. Mm-hmm. And being like associated with the Democratic Party, and like she even said, she was like, like I'm kind of over being a part of like this party. She was like, I kind of don't want to be associated with any party, because she even said it, and I respected the shit out of it, because I feel like a lot of people in Hollywood, comedians, and you don't really see it a lot from rappers, which is kind of like surprising. Like rappers that we grew up with, like Kanye and Lil Wayne and shit, like they're more Republican side. Yeah. But a lot of people in Hollywood and comics and stuff like that, they're very Democrat. So it was just she, and she's like for the woman, for Democrats, but she came out and she on her podcast and she was like, yo, like, I don't want to be associated with this party because of how extreme things are. And I got into that. I remember a conversation from the barbershop came up about gender reveals and how that triggers people now. And it's like, you just mentioned, it's crazy how you just mentioned that, and it's like that's a topic that was just brought up last week, and that person on Twitter, right? Like, why can't you said it best, and I said this last week, which is crazy. Like, it's your kid. That's what you believe in. That's what you and wifey believe in. Like, that's what you guys wanted to do. Yeah. And if one day, if someday possibly like your son is like, you know what, I want to go a different route, it's not that you're not okay with it. It's just like, you know what, this is what I believe in. You were born this way, and you cross that bridge when you get there, if you get there.
100%. I think a primary example of that right now is Dwayne Wade, the situation with his son, who's now, transitioning to being his daughter, which is his daughter right now, and then like how, I would imagine we randomly just face scrutiny, but him being in the midst of like all that macho man, NBA, basketball sort of energy, and then having to deal with that, it's a blessing and a curse, because he becomes an adversary and a voice for that movement. But at the same time, he's probably so stressed out about it. He recently just did a podcast yesterday and he was talking about it, but man, at the end of the day, it's crazy. This is, it's really all a deeper conversation, because, people just will always have their opinions, and we have to realize that. But there's this thing that the internet, specifically Twitter, does a lot, where it's like this sort of like they call it, I think, groupthink, and like when people follow the crowd. So it's like you sort of lean your opinion towards whoever gets the most positive feedback, even though it's not really your opinion. You'll sort of sway it that way just to get that, that like, that retweet, and that sort of more of attention, and like, oh, here's the crowd clapping
and it's not
for
even
you.
just on Twitter, but I could see how Twitter like motivates you to do. I deactivated my Twitter just because I'll be back on for like promotional purposes, obviously. But
it's crazy. Like Twitter is like the best and worst like social media invented, because the simple concept is like when you go to tweet, it says what's on your mind, and that's such a powerful question and a dangerous question, because there's billions of people in this world. What's really on our mind? Like you don't want to get into our mind, and then people just tweet shit randomly, and then they face scrutiny. Like I can be right here. I'll be like, man, I really hate white Crocs. Like I hate white Crocs, you know. But I'm talking to you in person, so I might be just joking.
Yeah.
But then if I tweet it, someone might be like, damn, why do you hate white Crocs?
Yeah, they get so
you got
pressed.
something against black Crocs?
Yeah.
Like whoa, like what is this? Not even like they'll make it about something that is not really what you're trying to, and then you're stuck there trying to defend yourself for just a simple thought, you know, that you just tweeted in that moment. But it goes to show you the power of words. But it's like at the same time, is it really power or is it stupidity? Like people, I don't know. It's really frustrating. Like I face it all the time. Like I love tweeting, but I just hate Twitter. Like I like using it and I like putting my thoughts out there, and I use it for promotional purposes, and it's the thing that's gathered me the most like attention online. Like you can randomly get viral on Twitter more than any social media platform, but it's like at the same time you fall in the hands of scrutiny. You know, we went viral with the Weeknd reaction, and then the Weeknd retweeted us, and then there was a bunch of random like young little girls like why or white girls, young white girls, like why are they saying the N-word? Oh my God, why are they saying the N-word? And then there was like a whole crowd agreeing with them, like what? Whoa, yeah, why are they saying the N-word? And there was a whole other crowd that was like they're Dominican, they're black, they Afro-Latino, like they have African like blood, like it's obvious to the point that if the Weeknd retweeted us, I'm pretty certain A, he's seen multiple videos, and B, he knows that we're black. Like he's not gonna like make himself like if we were to do some dumb shit like that, B of like white guys saying some shit like that, and then the Weeknd retweets it, not only would we be fucked, he would be fucked. So like, you know, but that's the internet for you. Like there's that sort of like people who want to make shit political.
It's funny how you said white girls, because I feel like it's always, and I just brought this up too, like it's always the race or the group of people that are not part of the group. Like people get offended on behalf of the people that they're not.
Exactly.
It's like, and that's just crazy to me.
It's weird.
People get offended on behalf of the people that they're not, and then those people are not offended because they know we're you know, your background is the Dominican, and
I'm fully Dominican.
I'm fully Dominican
both sides. I'm fully Dominican both sides. Definitely probably some Haitian blood, because my grandparents on my mom's side have like a lot of Haitian cousins.
That's always a possibility. But regardless, even if you were just straight Dominican, like there's Dominicans, Puerto Ricans, like you're still, you know, there's still that history. So it's just like, it doesn't make any fucking sense.
Yeah. Like I never had to like confirm or deny it with myself, because I always grew up that way. Like I have uncles who are darker skinned than my actual black friends. Like I've always grown up knowing like who I am and what I am. But in this age that we are, you know, where everything sort of needs to be explained 300 times, like, you know, I definitely have done the due diligence of, you know, researching my own, you know, bloodline and looking at my heritage and, you know, doing the whole classic ancestry shit. And that shit, I think a lot of people definitely should do it more, because you definitely learn more about yourself, you know. So at least there is some sort of this discovery conversation happening, like, oh, you know, in the midst of the judging, it's like, oh, find out actually what you really are and where you really come from. But the whole misconception of, you know, just people, just their opinions, and like just rushing to judgment rather than actually asking the question. You know, even them in that moment, that like, people who just randomly comment, even though they're random people, you know, it really doesn't really matter. But at the same time, it's like, why don't they have the mindset of like, oh, what are they? Like, oh, what is, like asking rather than just like going straight forward to like, this is wrong immediately. But it's like, because they probably feel that way. They see the whole even with the Black Lives Matter movement, they see that, so they maybe them being maybe young naive girls, they want to join that real quick. They're like, oh, I want to get on the right side. Is like, no, you look really crazy actually because you sound dumb. You don't know what you're talking about, and it happens way more than often. I see all the times with other celebrities and shit. I just sit back and just be like, wow, this shit's crazy.
You were at a Black Lives Matter protest, the Black Lives Matter protest, very peaceful one in Providence.
Yeah.
You went on Instagram Live, so even if you weren't there, if you weren't there, anybody was watching it on Sounds Live and anybody's live.
Yeah.
So the perfect example of the whole entire thing was peaceful.
Yeah.
I mean, Gina praised it for being peaceful. Many praised it for being peaceful. There was cops there that I saw personally who were even respecting people for keeping it peaceful and even hugging people or taking a knee with people, whatever. Mind you, in the middle of a pandemic.
Yeah.
At the very end, you saw groups of, I hate to say it, but I call a spade a spade. I do this with my own culture. I just call shit how I see it. At the end of the whole thing, you see white people kind of antagonizing cops.
Yeah.
And that's another example. It's like, dude, like we just had this whole peaceful thing, and now it's like, oh, like fuck you or fuck you. You heard so much crazy shit, like, oh, fuck you, Gina, fuck the police, and it's like, yo, like,
that shit's crazy.
You have, let's be. I'm a big mental health. I think I'm a big mental health like guru.
Mm-hmm.
For lack of a better word. I think everyone goes through shit mentally when they see shit in the news, when they see shit in the media or whatever. Mm-hmm. But personally, it's like one of those things where going back to what we said earlier, it's like you have no real physical like pain or anything you really went through from this. So it's like you're getting offended on behalf of us. And while doing so, you're kind of like, I feel like they do it for the wrong season, the wrong reasons. They do it for clout. They do it for just for whatever personal reason. And it's like you're starting shit that we don't even want started. We did this whole peaceful protest, and how was that like for you just to see that go down? Because I know that you're very like good at the people look to. I know for sure that people look to you. I haven't been on Twitter, but I know that you share your tweets on like Instagram and shit. People look to your Twitter and your Instagram for like news with pop culture, news with like locally.
Yeah.
And so I know that you were just sharing that when you were on live, but how was that? What were your like emotions seeing that like in person?
I mean, man, it was definitely it was a powerful time in my life. That whole, I always would say that I was always obviously for the Black Lives Matter movement and a part of it, since since it was created, since it started. You can argue that it always has existed, but it's just now it's been in a form where it's been more organized and there's a name to it, but it's just, standing up for what you believe in, protecting your people and supporting your people. But when it came to this city, specifically last year, I felt like there was like a lacking of, like, people would report it, but it would be like the white media, like the typical stuff that, if you're an older person at home, you'll watch Channel 12 and you'll see it. But not really anybody in our community, especially sort of people that kind of look up to, even local, just like local celebrities or local rappers, whatever. They really weren't like promoting it or pushing for it. And I felt like, damn, there seems to be like a sense of misinformed, crowds amongst everyone. I know everyone's quarantined and it's COVID, but it's like, yo, there's real shit happening outside of your door. And, you're really not partaking or even at least, supporting even from home. Like, you don't even know what's going on. Mm-hmm. So I was like, nah, I'm going to take it upon myself and like just post this shit more. I really don't care. People might think it's corny to, he's going hard.
Yeah, he's feeling it, right?
Yo, people might think it's corny to an extent or whatever, but I would post it in my own like dope way, something that it would be, quick, concise, informative, gets to the point, and it was really effective. It started with just like posts on my story, but then I would actually like bullet point actual like weekly news like summaries on Twitter, and that shit got so much traction. I was like, oh my god! Like I would get random DMs from like companies and local news stations, even in Massachusetts, would like just message me either information for me to repost or information or asking for information from this city to, like for me directly. Like, oh, they heard something happen in Providence or in Rhode Island. They would ask me, and I would be like, yo, what the hell? And then I guess because they obviously perception is everything. So they see the numbers, they see the larger followers than most accounts, especially in a local level, and they see like the bio, like, oh, this guy must be important. He has a lot of views and stuff, you know. And they see like I guess the professionalism in the post, like the posts where it wasn't really gimmicky, it wasn't even biased, it was non-biased, it was just straight to the point. It wasn't really trying to be opinionated with it. If anything, I would add my opinion to it after, but I would make those certain posts just very, this is what I'm gonna repost everywhere, and this is what people really care about. And that shit got a lot of steam, a lot of traction, and it was in the midst of obviously COVID, but then the Black Lives Matter movement that was actually happening here. They were doing protests and stuff here, so I would post updates about that whenever there was a rally. I coincided it with my updates online, and people wouldn't hit me up like, yo, when's the next rally or this and that, or like, where is it going to happen? What time? And we would sort of help each other out. And like, it was a really dope moment, man. I loved it. And, being in the midst of all that, all the protests and everything, it really reminded me, because I really had a feeling already, like I've always thought like, damn, like the youth is like the future, because it's obvious, the youth is literally the future. But it's like, yo, the youth, especially locally, is the future. Like at all these rallies, it was younger kids like standing up and like talking and like saying poems and like crying on camera, on the mic, and like just being very like they knew that they had to be there. And I was like, yo, what the fuck? Like these young kids are like in high school still, some in middle school. Like there was even younger kids in that like element, like young as little girls, like just talking on the mic, even if it was like on some like you really couldn't comprehend what she was saying. You get the energy, like just because she was a little emotional and stuff, and her mother wanted to bring her up. But like they were speaking more for us than our actual local leaders and like our actual, entertainers and people that people think they're cool and stuff. And I was like, this is amazing. Like I'm watching this right before my eyes. Like, and thank God I was able to like actually captivate it and, capture it on camera and repost what I could and, make it get the attention that it got. But that shit was like crazy. Like I had a couple clips that went viral, and I would help people like go viral because I just knew it was really viral worthy. Like the world needs to see this. This is happening here in the city, smallest state in the country, but the world needs to see this. And I was a good instrument in that process. But yeah, man, that shit was crazy. I even got to the point like one of the biggest rappers out of here is my boy. I grew up with him, Bunyan, but he goes by King OSF. Mm-hmm. So King OSF even hit me randomly. Like he would call me and FaceTime me randomly like, yo, your posts are inspiring me, man. Like that shit is crazy. Like these protests, I love what you're doing. Like, and he made a song about it. He's like, yo, I had to go. I'm in the studio right now. I had to make a song about what you're doing. Like I made this song, and he made it like a George Floyd song, like dedicating it to him and his family, and the proceeds were donated to them. So when I saw like, damn, my shit, I'm just doing this shit because I love it, but it's actually impacting people. It was like, this is dope, but it's like, do I consider myself necessarily an activist per se? I don't really put a title to it. It's just like kind of just go with my natural instincts. Like if I feel like I really need to support this and I go about it, then I do it. There was a local company that was selling sea moss, and then the local news stations were like portraying them as like, they were selling something that was like giving defects to people and like some bullshit, like a whole fake story. And it was actually one of my friends. Like I actually knew the woman, the Cuban woman, and I reached out to her. I was like, yo, what the hell is going on? And then I was able to interview them and then sort of like change the narrative and actually get down to the actual facts, and then have the actual Rhode Island Health Department visit them and then help them sort of like change the whole really narrative. And now I think they're getting the business back up and running, so stuff like that, I sort of just do it naturally without the necessarily like wanting that pat on the back, like, wow, he's a good guy. It's just like, no, I think in life, we just got to do these sort of things like naturally, like help each other out, because you never really know like what could happen in the future. Like you never know if you could be nothing or if that person that you might think you're more than right now actually surpasses you in life, and they maybe can help you out in the future when you're actually in need of help. So you always have to look out for one another because that shit, especially if you do the opposite, if you fuck up someone, if you do some bullshit, that shit comes to haunt you. Like I've seen it done to me, I've seen it done to others. Like that shit happens. So I always try to be with that sort of like, that sort of responsible energy. So when it came to that stuff locally, man, I honed in on that shit, man. Like that Black Lives Matter stuff, that day specifically that you were talking about earlier was crazy because, it really was that. Like even one of my friends, like Cameron, one of my friends, one of my close white friends, she was like there and like really going hard. And I was like, yo, like, you gotta back up. Like they're really about to hit you. Like you think like I get the whole energy. Like there was white guys literally there with signs that would say like, I'm white, stand behind me. And it's like, I get what you're trying to say. Like you're trying to use your privilege to like help us, but it's like, bro, we can't afford that luxury to even do it ourselves. So it's like we don't even feel comfortable being here. Once they start pulling guns out. We're going to start heading out of here.
And that's the last thing that needs to happen, right? I'm sure it has happened. Not that it's been reported on. At least I haven't seen it.
Yeah.
But that's the last thing that needs to happen is like to have a white person fuck it up at one of those things, like to trigger the, and it's crazy to think about, bro. Like, again, it's the whole like, I'm offended on behalf of, and it's like, you don't get it.
Yeah.
You'll never get it. I feel like it's a force at that point.
Yeah, man. And I get it because in the sense of like you want to help, but you're better off just trying to understand and actually question things and like maybe instead of doing it your way, maybe ask, how can I help? Like you should be better. You're better off being that sort of like, person who doesn't know much. Like embrace your naiveness, your misinformedness, your ignorance, and like, ask like how can I help this movement? How can I help you guys? Like what can I do? And then go about your actions instead of doing it the other way around because you're just gonna end up looking dumb. And it happens a lot. It happens in politics. It happens with celebrities. It happens on a local level. And that shit is just crazy, man. That day specifically was nuts. Gina like settled it. The governor here in Rhode Island settled it. She figured it out. She kind of came out and like made people calm down. Thankfully, but that shit was it was really escalating pretty quickly. The craziest day was though, which I was at, was when it reached national news, like when they did the mall riots, like they broke into the mall.
Yeah. Yep.
And they really just, it was just crazy. Like they fucked up all downtown, but that was not, Black Lives Matter. Like I was there. That was not Black Lives Matter. That was, most of the people there was like, not even from here. Like they were out of towners. They were like a bunch of like Massachusetts people. Like there was people literally like honking at me, and like if we were driving or something, they'll be around and they'll be like, "Oh, yo, do you know where this store is at? Or where's the sneaker store in downtown? Oh, y'all ain't got any." Like they'll be like obviously out of towners, and I was like, "This is crazy." Like there was literally vans of people, full of people, and they would come out, open the van door, and then pop out. We're like fully suited up, like covered fully with like a backpack. And I'm like, yo, what the fuck is going on? That was the
craziest time to me because it's like, yo, we're already going through a fucking pandemic.
Yo, that shit was crazy. And then I remember when, because I was there, because my idea going there, I was like, I want to go because I want to document this. And on top of this, I want to like, if I can, and I have the ability to, maybe help people because there's going to be people who are going to be caught up. Maybe some young kids who are doing that shit because they're following the crowd or some shit. They think they're going to get a free iPad and shit. But they're going to, unfortunately maybe get shot, or some shit happens because these cops don't play. Shit. Obviously, they don't fuck around. They don't give a fuck about us. So if you're freaking antagonizing them, throwing mazel tovs at them and shit, like what do you think is going to make them even do even more? So, but it didn't reach, it reached the level of tear gas. So they were throwing tear gas like crazy. And I remember that shit. I couldn't fucking breathe. That shit was crazy.
A bunch of fucking white people from out of state wanted to play GTA and then get
they thought that shit was Grand Theft Auto.
The wasted thing at the end.
Bro, that was some of the most painful pain I felt in my life when that tear gas hit me. I was like, what the fuck is this? Like, I thought like my face was melting. I was like, what the hell? But Jesus. that shit was it was a hell of a moment though. At least we got to see, for better or worse, it's some beauty. There's some beauty in it. That photo of like the Providence police car on fire. Like that was a crazy moment.
Yeah, that was nuts.
That was crazy. Like seeing that actually happen, I was like, wow, like they really did that. They really
and
do
it
that.
pains me because I don't know what I might sound like, and I've talked about it before, but that's outside.
Someone's out here riding on rims.
Yeah, it's fucking crazy. It pains me because like I have family, I have friends, I have clients of mine, which all of my clients I look at as friends at the barbershop.
Yeah.
But aside from the weird fucking walk-ins who stink, but I have friends and family and clients who are cops, and then like I understand it from
both sides.
Minorities. Obviously, I've been through shit in New York. I haven't.
Oh yeah, that's what's worse.
Thank God I have never been through anything physically, but I've gotten kicked off the train twice. Once,
wow.
Both times because one time it was because I was looking at a cop funny, and another time because me and my boy were like fucking with each other, and we were like play fighting, and they literally like and no one was amping it at all. It wasn't like it was anything that was amped up. Oh, get off the train. I'm like, I live on we were on like 132nd.
Oh man.
And it's like we're getting ready to be on 135th, and I'm getting ready to go to Washington Heights, and it's like I live on 169th, and it's like, no, get off the train now. I don't care.
Oh shit.
Escorting me out.
No.
So it's like, and it was both times white cops. So it's like I get it. There's very fucking bad cops that are out there, but it's like, yo, let's also think about the fact that we're all human. Like it definitely pains me to see for sure. Like it pains me to see any type of like human on human like violence or violence or even physical or verbal, like anything that's where we're disrespecting one another, where we're being disgusting towards one another.
Yeah.
It's fucked up to me. It's definitely triggering. So
yeah, it's really a catch-22, man, because we can say obviously fuck all cops and but we definitely do need them because there's the same people who say fuck cops, but then they call the cops, when they need them.
And that's real. Someone
breaks in your house and shit. What are you gonna do? You gonna just call the homies? Like you might obviously call the fucking cops because like they broke into your fucking house and you don't know what the fuck to do. Especially if it's the first time it happens, you're like, oh, let me call the cops.
Yeah. Fact.
So it's like it's definitely a catch-22. I think obviously when it comes to like the Black Lives Matter movement, and most of the people, especially in the higher up positions, when they speak about being even the whole concept of like defunding the police, when they speak about that, they really don't say like where it can be misinterpreted as like the fully elimination of the police. The concept of defunding the police was like formed from just like a way of penalizing the cops. So like literally defunding, which means like taking some money away from their budgets, because there's a lot of cases in Rhode Island, especially we see it where there's like an excessive amount of money budgeted to the police force, but it's not really used. So it's like money that's just there, so it's like, do they really, what's going on with that money, especially because it's taxpayers' money. This is actual residents. So like, they've always played with the concept of like, oh, like taking some money away from the cops, but then the Black Lives Matter movement embraced this sort of defunding the police where it's like, yes, taking away money from the cops as a penalty because of the crimes that they might commit, themselves on the actual residents. And then a lot of people would play with that. Like I even hear like I've heard Joe Rogan speak about it a lot, and like they think it's like what's the other word other than defunding? There's another word. It's like literally just like they even made like a whole hashtag like something about like ACAB, abolish all cops or some shit, something like that. Something like like literally just like actually taking them all away. And obviously that's not that shouldn't be the narrative because it's not really realistic. It's not realistic at all. Like if it were to happen, we would not be happy with the results. But it's because it comes from the pain and anger that we feel when we do see someone that looks like us and they get hurt or killed literally by a cop. You say fuck all cops because it's like that they're tied to that. And even fundamentally, the concept of policing and that whole creation of policing was like, was people who would gather up and, actually do, racist things or like police the blacks and like be like sort of like, white lieutenant energy, so, you can sort of understand where it comes from fundamentally, that sort of pain of like fuck cops and shit, especially when you see it like relevant every day. If you see it like recently it happens, you're gonna feel that way. But realistically and objectively, you just gotta like realize like, nah, that's not the solution. I think the solution overall really is just like reforming the police, fixing it within the police form. You know, I've spoken to cops, you know, and I've literally have had conversations, even via email, like longer conversations of like, you know, what's going on in their actual, you know, group, station, district, and what they can do to change it. You know, a lot of things I do suggest is like having cops that are from, you know, if we're in Cranston now, having Cranston cops that grew up there actually being cops, you know, that way they're at least familiar with the neighborhood and they're not going into, you know, someone's neighborhood that they never even knew of, or if there's like old residents there, they don't even recognize them, like, because then they're obviously going to come into it with more aggression or more like stunnedness, and they're going to maybe do something that they might regret even more. The chances are higher, obviously, if you're walking into somewhere you've never been. But if you're from there, you know, that's your background, your hood, you know, your family, or you might have, you know, maybe some friends, you go into it, you know, way less like, you know, attentive, and you're more like, all right, I'm gonna give people, you know, not a full on chance, but more like all right, I know him, so I know he really didn't mean this or this and that. You know, you kind of go into it better, and it feels more safer for everyone involved. Because if you recognize the cop, you're like, oh, that's you know, that's this person. Oh, that's Joey, the blah blah blah. You know, so it just feels more natural. And a lot of cops, they're for it, but it's really not really up to them. It's up to their sergeants, their lieutenants, like the higher ups.
Yeah, that's what people don't realize too.
It's a lot of way more work than you know, just a snap of a finger, or more than a tweet. You know, so you know, you can't just tweet it and it happens. But I'm all for the movement. You know, I'm all for, you know, reforming. Change definitely has to happen. You know, I'm always for that. It's just a matter of, you know, just not following the crowd with your opinions and like actually educating yourself. Like,
so,
you know,
just in general, right? Like, just because you have that, like, just like how I have my platform and people kind of come. Yeah. It's weird because we're nobody's living. We're somebody's, but we're also nobody's living in Providence. I'm very real. Yeah. So it's like people still, you know, we have our platforms. People come to us for our opinions and shit. What are your, like, you mentioned that we have to change, and I believe that we have to change in a lot of ways. But what are your thoughts on like the state of the world? Or I don't know if it's this way all over the world, but what are your thoughts on the state of like America at the very least, where everything is going back to what I talked about earlier, where everything is very extreme? Because I feel like there's a lot of things where, yes, we need to make changes, and we have made changes, and there's still a lot of work to be done. But there's also the part where, like we talked about earlier, where things are too extreme. What is your opinion on like the state of how we think in America for the most part right now?
I think, man, it's definitely it's going through stages right now of like sort of finding its sort of balance, because of especially the major transition of even, you know, the highest of all ups, the president, you know, Trump leaving office now. There's sort of this energy of, you know, sort of people sort of finding themselves, like, you voted, especially a lot of first time voters, like you voted for Biden, but you really don't understand politics. You just voted just to vote, and now you're like kind of like, oh, what's going on, like what's happening? But then there's also these people who actually are really invested into politics, or at least educated, like myself. Like, I know what's going on basically at all times.
It's so funny how like I don't know how you feel about it, but like I understand politics.
Yeah,
I feel like people talk to me sometimes, they're like, yo, you love politics, like, you know your shit, you read into it, whatever. And it's like, I understand politics, but I don't like it. Like, I'm not into
because I think politics is like very reminiscent of basically everything in life. Like, there's similarities between boxing and wrestling. Like, there's similarities between politics. Did I say boxing? Boxing and wrestling? I meant politics and wrestling. I don't know. I felt like I said boxing for some reason. Politics and wrestling, and politics.
Boxing fans off.
Yeah, politics and everything. You know, like I think there was a silver lining in Trump being president, because it made like a lot of the real colors of people were being shown.
Oh,
like a lot of the real opinions and stuff. Like he made a lot of people, well, literally the group, the Proud Boys, like he literally made people more prouder than ever to say their opinion, even if it was, politically incorrect. Like they'll state it because, we have such a cocky president,
Yes,
unfiltered,
exactly.
and they were really out there. So we at least got that moment of like, we got all right, we know not to really fuck with you because you're kind of crazy. You're not just opinionated, you're actually crazy. You saw those crazies pop up in the midst of all that. But he definitely did a lot of damage in the time that he was president. It really was a lot of things that did affect a lot of families, whether it's the actual immigration policies and all that stuff where it affected millions of families across the world at that point. So it's a crazy moment right now. There's a sense of what I've seen most 2021 is like censorship, like a sense of like even it started with like the end of the year when they were like censoring Trump and like a lot of people's opinion on that. Like, what? They took Twitter away from Trump? They can take Twitter away from anyone then. Like, what? We can't let this happen. I hate him. But it's like, what? And then like there's this audience of like, well, some people feel like, well, it's Twitter, it's not, it's a privately owned company. It's public, but they really have, you sign the user agreement when you sign up. So they have the ability to lock your account, take your account at any moment 100%. They want.
It don't matter who you are.
Exactly. So it's not really it's not free speech is free speech.
Yeah, exactly.
But free speech is this. Like, we're here.
And he also had 4 years of free speech where he had multiple situations where he made fun of one of them, making fun of someone with mental disabilities. So it's.
Exactly.
I feel like though, and this is me still making a prediction just because it's only been so long that Biden's been in office.
Yeah.
But I
like
feel
100 days.
I feel like regardless of who it was, whether it was Biden or Bernie or whoever, I feel like in 2021, we were going to go, if Trump was going to lose, we were going to go, I feel anyway, we were going to go from one extreme to the next.
Yeah.
I think that personally, I mean, I would hope, I say hope because I don't really actually think that there's a light at the end of the tunnel and that hopefully somebody steps up and it's like somebody who's very down the middle and it's somebody that we have to do the work for that though. I feel like we're not down the middle right now. There's some of us who, like myself, who are very like, our opinions are all over the place and very like both sided. But most of America right now, between the Trumpies who were very salty and still very like pressed that he lost and he's not our president anymore, and the hardcore Democrats who you just spoke on, like very like, you know what, I'm not gonna vote off of any type of research or any type of really looking into what party I really associate myself with or whatever. It's more so, you know what, I hate Trump. Hating Trump is cool. Loving Biden is cool. I'm going to vote Biden, and, we're riding the Biden train. And it's like, you don't understand how much goes into this stuff. Yeah,
it's a lot. It's a lot, man. And even going back to Twitter, like I remember I tweeted, I think I said something like, it was during the debates, like Trump versus Biden. And I was like, don't let these debates be like your all be all. Like if you're just watching these debates and like you're gonna vote on your president based off these debates, like do your research. And then there's some people got offended by that. Like, what do you mean? It's obviously against Trump. And it's like, well, yeah. First of all, I already voted. I did the early vote, so my vote's already in. I already voted for Biden. That's not my point. I'm not trying to advocate for Trump. My point is that we have to be objective. Like, at the same time, you're voting for Biden, but know why you're voting for him. I personally voted for him because I liked his policies that he was saying beforehand going into it. Like, I liked what he was literally standing for. And some of the things he literally implemented it already within his 100 days. But I definitely can argue that a lot of the stuff has been a bit unorganized and it's like rushed. Like even the whole, everything that's going on right now with the wall. So like stopping the construction of the wall, which I'm all for, but then there's like there was really not much planning to it. So now there's like, there's, which is a good thing. Obviously, I'm all for people coming into the country. I think that's a fucking idiocracy that, we place literally like borders, or even if they're not literally there, but like figuratively borders, like you can't come into this, like it's a free world. We should be able to travel wherever we want to travel. But obviously there's more to it than that. It's not as simple as that might sound. And because of him stopping the construction of the walls, there's been like a way higher percentage of people, especially from South America, coming into America at those like open points. And it's by such a high number that it's like dangerous because there's a lot of people losing their lives. Like there's a bunch of whole families, a bunch of kids, being rushed into this situation that, they planned on it, they want it because they want a better life, but it's like now it's happening at an expedited, rate because they're trying to take advantage of the moment, which they should, but it's like they don't realize like, like they're probably over there with confused cops, confused border patrol. They don't know what the fuck they're doing, so they might shoot you without having to really shoot you. That's not protocol, but like they might do that. There's so many crazy stories right now that's been happening of those type of similar situations, and it's like, I was all for his plan of like, stopping the building of the wall, but it's like he kind of rushed that and did that without any planning. So it's like, you might have voted for this person for such a change that you wanted and something that you think, oh, it sounds good on paper, but when it actually happens, you see like, damn, maybe we should have, put the brakes on that and like done it more organized and like, actually put more thought into it. So there's definitely a level of that for me right now where like, I obviously know that every president is not a perfect president, but it's like, I guess you unnaturally felt like, all right, anything after Trump is going to be perfect. But then you get hit with that fucking reminder like, no, it's just because it's not Trump, this shit is not perfect. This is still politics. At the end of the day, they're going to do shit that, it's not necessarily going to be, positive to you, but it might be positive to their peers, and like it's gonna, put money in their pockets, and it's gonna, help international relations, or maybe internal affairs, so it's like they're obviously gonna do, it's politics by definition. Mm-hmm. They have to do that shit. So, it's a catch-22. You really can't find satisfaction in everything. Satisfaction. But
is that a word? You just make that
I might have made it up. It sounded good though. Satisfaction. Satisfying. The faction.
Satisfaction?
Yo. Satisfaction.
Satisfaction.
Close enough.
Satisfaction.
It kind of rhymed a little bit. It was close enough.
You said it so like
confidently.
Yeah.
Like I was like, that shit's in the dictionary.
And like it's not. Like you were like a philosopher when you said, you were like satisfaction. But yeah, man. But I definitely do advise people to, get into politics. Like read up on it more. Like, if you have the time. Obviously, we live our lives. So if you don't got time for that shit, you got better things to do in your opinion. I respect it. But if you do have the free time, like read something, whether it's once a week, once a month, once a day. Read up on it. Feel actually informed on what's happening in your country. Don't be so quick to be like, all right, fuck America. All right, yeah, fuck America, but you're actually still living here. So let's see what's actually happening in America while at the same time feeling a disdain for this country. You can still feel the disdain, but let's be informed. Like actually know about the bills that, especially major bills that are passing, things like of that nature, and don't feel like, especially if it affects, there's a lot of things that might affect you directly. Like it might affect your paper or your check that 1 week. Like you might have like 10% less. Or when it comes to taxes, which Biden has a big plan right now with taxes. He's gonna heighten the taxes, I think, from 21 to 28%. But I think it's obviously mostly gonna affect like the higher upper class economy. But it's definitely gonna affect people's pockets. So what if you are amongst the people that does affect, then randomly you got to pay more taxes and you got less money in your account. You're like, what the fuck just happened? Oh, well, months ago, if you would have realized, Biden passed that bill, especially on a local level, there's a lot of shit that we can vote for locally, like local bills and things of that nature that we can affect actual change, immediate change. There was a bill that I think is actually going to be passed. They were fighting for it the other day, having to do with the sales of food, like selling food from your house, something like that, like being able to be like a vendor of food legally from your own house without having to have like a established like business, something like that.
I believe that's what it was. It was like 2 weeks ago. So that, that helps a lot of local business owners, a bunch of creators, like, especially if you really can't afford a place of business, like you can't rent somewhere out, or if you could, but because of COVID, you really can't no more because of the regulations, inspections. They're getting heavier with inspections in restaurants and stuff like that. Now you see a sort of like a way to make money still, like, and that helps. And that was a bill that literally, it was it could have been one vote away from that happening on a local level. So things like that, it's very eye opening, and I'm young now. So if like I inform myself now, I'm 23, I inform myself of these things, I would imagine now by the time I'm 33, like all the information I would have. And when it comes to my finances and everything and my family, even my friends, by just helping them out, like you can actually influence a lot of change, because we are the future, especially if you plan on staying in the city, which I do for a long while. You're the future of the city, so you can really affect a lot of change, man. Like never take it for granted.
Definitely, bro. You said it best. Switching gears real quick. You talked about and you just talked about businesses too, and like especially like local or self-employed. Talked earlier about being an entrepreneur and making your own hours. So if people don't already know, Sound Complex Ambition is not just the YouTube and the reaction videos and all the funnies. Like it's you guys are, I guess the label that's put on it is resellers.
Yeah, resellers. So basically, specifically me, I can vouch for myself saying that I'm definitely a full-time reseller. Like I'll sell anything as long as it has a profit margin. Like I'll literally sell anything, and as long as it's not really dangerous or incriminating, I'm not gonna put my life at risk really too much. But I'll really resell anything. Like during COVID, I was reselling weights like crazy. Like I would go to Walmart, I'll buy weights. I'll buy like a 15-pound weight, let's say at $10, like one dumbbell, and then I'll get the set. Let's say a set of two $15 dumbbells for $20, right? And then because of COVID, all the gyms are closed.
These are not Off-White dumbbells, right? These are
no regular dumbbells. These are regular Walmart brand dumbbells.
That's crazy.
I'll buy them
just because of the supply and demand, obviously.
Supply and demand, exactly. So it's just a basic, simple concept that is applied, whether it's in the hustle game, the drug game, anything. Where there's a supply, you can become that demand. Or well, where there's a demand, you become the supply. It works either way. Yeah, like literally with the dumbbell situation, people were exercising from home. The gyms were closed. So, the only struggle was, which wasn't really a struggle for me because I figured it out because I have experience with it, was like, damn, but that shit weighs 30 pounds. It must be expensive to ship it. Well, no, there's always ways around everything. Like they have priority flat rate boxes that you can put anything in, and it could weigh 1,000,000 pounds, but if it fits in that box, is that flat rate price. And these dumbbells were selling like crazy. Like you would sell, like if it was, let's say, a $10 15-pound dumbbell in store, right? You go, you buy it, and then you sell it online for like $50, $60. Like it was a very crazy like price range. Like your profit margin was insane, and the heavier the weights, the more the money was that you would make. And I was like, yo, this is crazy. But the catch to it was that you had to get early on the trend, because it was literally like if you were to go buy Jordans and shit sells out. You'll go up to a fucking Walmart in the middle of the morning, like right when they open, and there either was no weights because someone got them all the day before, or there'll be other 5 dudes with you, like, waiting before you already. Like, oh, you're here for the weights, too? And it's like, bro, this is fucking weights. This is not shoes. But you see, like, the supply and demand. And then I got into bikes, selling bikes in the summertime. That was a big thing, too, selling bikes, even online. Like, even on locally, because they would sell out a lot on Walmart, and you had to, like, get them early. Oh, so you're
into more shit than I thought.
Yeah. Yeah, because that type of stuff is really...
Because I know it was like sneakers and...
Yeah, that's the stuff that I promote, because there's really no need to really promote. Like, I got weights for sale.
Yeah.
That'll look kind of crazy. People won't understand it. Like, this motherfucker's pushing that weight. It
sounds crazy right now, but if I had the opportunity to, I definitely would.
But it's like, that's how you make the extra cash, especially on the side. You don't even need promotion for that. You post it, eBay, sells. Like, it's quick. It was quick sales. Supply and demand. But what I do promote and stuff online, social media, is like, the typical title of a reseller is applied to those of the hype beast world, where you sell clothes, you sell sneakers, you buy at a certain price, and you resell it at a higher price margin. Most of the time, there's definitely a lot of times where you break even, or you might lose money just because you need that money real quick, and then you might re-up on something else, and then you make back that money you lost there, and this and that. There's a lot of different ways around it, but it's a crazy game right now. Especially, it's gotten to the point where people, because of COVID, it's kind of harder to get shoes. Like, everything's been online. Like, Nike's sort of transitioned to like e-commerce. Like, they're taking away their products from stores. Like, there's no longer any Nike accounts at Eblin's. So if you go to Eblin's, they no longer have Nike shoes. Like, they're no longer allowed to sell Nike shoes. And Nike's taking it away from a lot of other small mom and pop type of, smaller franchise stores that carry their lines, because they see more profit with e-commerce, like selling online, because people are just buying online. It's like, it's at a highest it's ever been. Like, it's literally Cyber Monday every day because of, COVID. People don't trust shopping in stores as much as they would. So they shop online. They buy everything online. So, there's this scarcity of, like, it's harder to get because, even though they do make the inventory higher online, there's people with bots, computers, this sort of fucking shit that make those? It. No, I don't. And I haven't. What? I never have. I should.
You've never in your whole career used bots?
Never.
Wow.
Never. But it's because it's expensive. It's more expensive than people think.
I understand that, but
it's like $4,000 to like $6,000 for one bot.
That's fucking.
And once
nuts.
you get a bot, you have to use it. Like, you have to sometimes buy crappy shit. Sometimes, that's why that's why a lot of bot owners sell slots, because they can't use their slots up the whole time, and they might not have the money for it.
I'm not gonna ask you to give people your secret ingredients, right? But at the very least, you get a lot of fucking shit. Yeah. Is it because of, obviously, like, it's you and the rest of the Complex Ambition family? Is that all it takes? Do you have other people who kind of work with you guys? Like, how do you get the inventory that you get?
I mean, it's really just more about just knowing the right people. Like, in the past, it was really more about that, because that's how I got most of my stuff. Like, knowing the right people, having the money to, pay up front for certain items and maybe get it earlier or just get higher quantities of it. But as of late, it's really just been like just bare bones, like back on the ground, like randomly, because of COVID. A lot of stores like Expressions or even Foot Locker will get like late shipments that they were supposed to get last year, like Jordan 1s from last year. They never got shipped out to Rhode Island because of COVID. So they randomly get it like this year, like on a Monday randomly. So it's really like being on top of that, like having post notifications on certain accounts, Sneaker Junkies, Expressions, certain accounts like that, might randomly get some shit, Civil. They might randomly get some SBs, having post notifications on that and really just being attentive to that. And not being lazy, like literally entering as many raffles as you can online. Even though it's hard to get online, you still enter as many raffles as you can. If I say I enter 20 raffles a week, that would be underballing. Like, that's not what I enter. I guess I was
under the impression that you use bots, because like I do all of that. Yeah. But it's just me. So it's like Complex Ambition. I know it's a family. You guys are all hands on deck, I would assume. So, well,
to an extent, yeah, but not really. Like I really don't share, like, especially when it comes to reselling, I really don't share like products with anybody else or money. Like, we don't split. We don't do nothing like that. It's really like, because that can get survival of the fittest. Yeah, because it does get complicated when you do business like that. It already is complicated with the YouTube. So like when it comes to actual like shoes, like it's and shit like that, like personal one-off items, is way too complicated. So it's like really just, just to each their own. I see a lot of traction myself through, buying a lot of used items, whether it's locally or it's online, whether it's eBay. You see trusted accounts, buying a lot of used items, clean them up, you sell them for more. When you have a trusted like customer base and like foundation feedback like I do, people just come to you and they just ask you for random shit. Like, they trust because they know they're gonna get something authentic and they know they're gonna get what they want, so they'll come to me for that. So I have that sort of, you can say it's a little privilege, but it's really not a privilege. It's a luxury that you sort of earn from, years of doing it. Because I've been doing this shit for so long. Like, it's crazy. Like I've been doing it for too long.
I'm a big believer in the universe. I'm a big believer in destiny. I guess it sounds corny, but you're destined to do. Some of us are destined to do certain things, and the universe kind of like places opportunities in it kind of in front of you. You obviously got to do the other half. Yeah, but that if that's what you're meant to do, I feel like the universe is gonna place something in front of you, and it's your job to do the other half.
No, 100%. And I think a lot of things is really just. I think the key thing, and probably the most important thing in business, is marketing. I pat myself on the back and I take pride in like being good with marketing, and I know what's appealing, but it's really because I'm a consumer myself. Like I'm a consumer of the products. I'm a consumer of the content. So I know like if it's not appealing to me, then why would I post it like that? Why would I do that like that if I wouldn't see myself either buying that or watching that? So when you think like a consumer, because you actually are a consumer, the marketing just comes naturally, So, for example, like when I was at the Boston Got Soul, the convention, like the early ones that they would do years ago, like it's big now in New England, but like, they were starting off, they were just some young kids, I would go to the events and I would literally, I would see people like, the concept is this, there's tables, people walk up to them and they might either stop by, or they might not. Most of the time, 90% of the time, they're not gonna stop by your table because there's so many damn tables. Like they might see the same shoe at your table that they see another table. So why would they stop at your table? So it's like, I was like, well, what's gonna make them stop at this table? Like, what the fuck do I gotta do? Like, do I gotta fucking put a shoe on my head? Oh, let me fucking put a shoe on my head. I literally put a shoe on my head, balanced the shoe on my head for the entire convention, which is probably like
I remember that
5 hours.
Yeah.
And would either sit down, stand up, but I will always like stay in that position, and like it fucking worked. Like people were coming to the table to the point that we ran out of things that we didn't even think we were even gonna sell that day, and that shit, made it to the point like I'm like a fucking almost like a mascot or some shit of that convention now. Like as a coming attraction, like oh they expect to see the guy with the head on the shoe on his head and shit because it was sort of almost like a play on the word, like sneakerhead. Like, oh, it was a sneakerhead. Oh, nah, let me put a fucking sneaker on my head. And that shit worked. Ever since then, I'm always get invited back, sometimes even for free. Most of the time for free because they know, like, come on. Like, it's going to bring attention. And they put me they put me up front next to the stage. Like, they know what's going to happen. And, but you apply that to everything in life. Like, I remember I said that shit in a business class, like, a marketing class in business, and the teacher was blown away. He was like, "What? Oh my God, that's an amazing example." It was like a way older dude. He was like, "That's phenomenal," and I was the only person of color in that entire classroom. It was all white kids. That's how most of the college business at URI is. All the classes are mostly like that. So I guess he gave me an extra enthusiasm because of that. Because he probably maybe. Without even realizing it, he was biased and probably was not expecting such a good ass presentation like I did that day, talking about the shoe on the head. But when I did that shit, he was taken away. He had to talk to me after class and everything. Mind you, it was the same teacher that the first day of that same class, the first day in that first semester, when I walked in, I had my hat on, and I guess there was an email sent out to the class. Oh, no wearing no hats. I didn't fucking know. I didn't read the emails. Like I really don't, I really pay attention after school starts, not beforehand. Like I'm busy. Like, I don't pay attention to emails. And he almost basically cursed me out that first day. Like he was spazzing like, you're disrespecting the classroom. What are you doing? He's like, get up from the table. He was like spazzing. I was like, I was looking around at everyone and there was like a kid in the back, like your hat. I'm like, oh, what? Like I was so caught off guard. I'm like, what that was like the worst like embarrassing moment in like all my school history because I'm always so respectful to my teachers and shit. Like I understand, people have a bad day, but he caught me so off guard with that. He was like fucking red and going crazy, and I got so heated and I'm like, what the fuck? So I just left the class. I'm like, what? I'm not dealing with this shit. Like what the fuck? And I see that all these kids are white in here. Like I'm already feeling like an outlier. Like what the fuck is going on? And then, instinctively and not even purposefully, but I guess it just happened. That presentation happened where I fucking talked about the sneaker on the head, and he was impressed by that. And it was like the best presentation I've seen in all my days of teaching. And it was like, all right, you know, and even kids after class came up to me and like, there was one of them that really was like serious. He was like, man, I saw what happened in there. That was, I remember the first day of class, and now look what's that was like a movie, man. That was amazing. And I was like, well, yeah, man, thank you. I guess, you know, I guess it was like a redemption story, but it really wasn't like, I didn't give a fuck. It was just me being myself. Like, you know, you always have to just be yourself. I was going with that same, you know, day-to-day marketing aspect, and it was actually a real story. So I was like, all right, I guess this is what he wants in the presentation. I actually did it. Let me tell him, because I guess it's cool. It's a sneaker on my head, but it was like actually a lesson to him. He's the teacher, but he got a lesson from that. Like, oh, wow, that's an amazing marketing tactic.
Yeah, facts.
You know, and I got an A in that class.
There we go.
You know, so, you know, marketing helps business, but it actually helps your grades.
Facts.
You know,
I mean,
Jesus.
shit.
Yeah, that shit was crazy.
Yo,
that shit was crazy.
Before we wrap this up, right?
Mm-hmm.
I always ask this. I try to always ask this question to guests because I'm very big on like mentally. I feel like mentally, it's so good for us as humans to have a pattern to follow every day.
Yeah.
Walk us through like your day, especially with you being an entrepreneur. Walk us through your day from like when you wake up to when you go to sleep.
Man, when I wake up, especially recently, I try to go to the gym a lot more often.
You a morning goer or?
I'm an anytime goer, but really not really nighttime. Like I haven't gone nighttime in a while. Probably
like
over a year.
You're better in the morning.
Better in the morning, definitely.
How much before you get into that? How much sleep do you get? How much sleep do you try to get? Is sleep important to you?
I get a lot of sleep. I definitely get a lot of sleep. I want to adjust to like getting less sleep because I know the baby's coming, so I gotta like adjust to that. Yes, obviously.
Just so you know.
Yeah, yeah, because you don't sleep. You know.
Yeah, say goodbye.
But when I was like, but it really is because of my post grad energy. Because when I was in school and shit, I would have classes. I was a commuter, so I would drive to fucking North Kingston URI, and that shit every morning. I would have sometimes 7 a.m. classes. Like it was crazy. And you have to get there early because you got to find parking. And parking was a fucking situation because there was never any fucking parking. So you got to get there even earlier. I've had my car towed. Like, it was a mess. Like, I hated going to school. That shit was horrible. That shit, thank God I'm out of there, you know. But, like, during all that, you know, what the fuck was I talking about? My routine. Mm-hmm. So, my waking up early, I was used to waking up early in that time. But since then, I graduated. It's like, oh, I really don't have no classes, nothing. I really don't got to worry about that anymore. I, you know, took the luxury of sleeping more. But it's like, I got to adjust back, you know. So, I do get like 8 hours of sleep.
Okay.
But if I don't need it.
So, you don't sleep a ton, though. You sleep like the time that you're
supposed 8 hours of sleep. But like typically, if you're in the business world, if you're like, read certain interviews or listen to certain podcasts, they talk about like, I think even DJ Khaled specifically was like, he sleeps like 4 hours a day.
Yeah,
and like Gary V says shit like that too. Like, you sleep 4 hours a day and this and that. Yeah,
but that's not good for you. And I feel like that's part of the culture of like, oh, I don't need sleep. Like, you need sleep, bro.
Yeah, like I feel like sleep benefits me. Like, even naturally, like health wise, like I feel like if I sleep more, I feel like healthier throughout the day. Not even that, like I can see it like even in my figure, like it helps me even like be slimmer in some sense. I don't know, like it just, your body's more rested. There's so much benefits like from sleeping. But if I do gotta like, you know, I think Saturday I had to do something early in the morning, so I slept like 5 hours, you know. I like, if I have to do that, I'll do it. Like, I don't mind. If I have an alarm, I'll wake up at any time. But it does affect like obviously my energy. You know, my day-to-day energy. But I do, for the most part, you know, try to get a lot of sleep. And I got the new apartment, so it's kind of been hard to adjust. I'm not gonna lie, because I do like staying up later and this and that.
Yeah.
This is weird, but you know, it's just sporadic. I can say I'm a heavy sleeper, I guess, for now. But then my girl works a lot. She does lash tech for the most part. She does makeup and lash tech, so she's really entrepreneur in the sense like she does her own appointments, is her own schedule. But she also has classes, so when she does work, she works all day. Like, she'll be up from before me. Like, she'll be from 9, she has to be at the shop at 9 to like 7 o'clock at night, taking back-to-back appointments, so she has to wake up at 8, you know. But, you know, aside from that, I wake up, whatever time I have to wake up. To be honest, I skip a lot of meals sometimes. I skip breakfast a lot, which is not really. It's all right.
Fasting is good though.
It's all right, like if you're adjusted to it.
Yeah, I'm big on fasting. I'm big on. I try to fast from 8 to 12.
Yeah, like in the morning, like if you're used to it, your body's used to it. Because I remember when I was younger, I would go to school, wake up early, gotta eat breakfast. But sometimes I'll try to eat breakfast and I feel like throwing up, or I feel like I gotta take a shit. I feel weird. I'm like, oh. But if you're used to like not eating in the morning, I find it like it's good. So I don't eat much breakfast at all. So if I don't eat breakfast or whatever, I'll sometimes I go to the gym like that. I go to the gym, really just usually on my phone a lot of the times, responding to emails. We get a lot of emails. A lot of people who want to do promotions on the YouTube channel, like a lot of artists, a lot of emails pertaining to that. A lot of catching up on media, because I do run it. Like especially social media for the Complex Ambition company, I like using it as a platform to inform people, because it also brings attention to the actual, pages ourselves. So you sort of become like a world star hip hop or like a academics sort of page, but in a more cleaner way, like sophisticated. Citing your sources properly and not really using any crazy gossipy posts. Like I really don't rush for bullshit. Like I don't need that bullshit. I sort of get the good shit. Like today I saw a lot of people that post like just especially like the academics pages, like they'll post the hip hop shit, but they won't post like the shooting that happened in Colorado.
The shade room. People love the shade room.
Oh yeah, the shade room. The shade room is I'm mixed on it. Like I definitely like it for the sense of like it helps me, because I'll be on it and I'll randomly see like a news article or something they post and I'll be like, I can post this, but I can post it better. So then I'll post it, and it works sometimes where I'll post it and it gets more traction even than their post. Yeah. Like it's crazy. But it's mixed, people always, always gonna feel some type of way. You just gotta, it's almost like the CNN, Fox News thing. Like people, you feel some type of way about either or, but it's like you gotta, try to get something from both, unbiasedly, exactly. So I do that with the chat, with the page a lot. So I'm always on top of that. I've been like working on my organization of like my day to day when it comes to that, because I used to really be on it 24/7, but it's like I know I'm having a child, so obviously there's no need, and like I can't be doing that. So a lot of people think there's a team and this and that, but it's really most of the day to day shit is me. Like I edit all the videos, I make all the clips, I do all the posts. It's really mostly me, to be very honest. And it's because I really don't mind it. I see it beneficial that way right now, and we really haven't got as much money as we should from YouTube because of the copyright infringements. But once we do solidify like a proper sponsorship and like get the merch going and stuff like that, and we get more flow of income, I don't mind like hiring young interns and stuff to help. I can teach them to do things that way. I'll take less energy off my back, and I can focus on my child and shit like that. So I definitely am gonna have to invest in that, but my day-to-day mostly consists of that, all day, and I make it like a rule to myself to sort of learn something every day, whether it's through podcast interviews. I'm constantly listening to podcasts. Like today I was listening to the Thing Is, the one that the Joe Budden Network started. Like he started a new podcast with girls. So I'm constantly every day, and I was watching the Dwayne Wade one on I Am Athlete. It's like an athlete podcast where they interview athletes. So I'm constantly, it's literally every day. Like I can't go. That's probably the thing that I can't go one day without like literally like watching or listening to like an interview or / podcast. Like I have to. It's almost like my drug. Like it's weird. Yeah. It's weird.
You gotta stay informed, bro.
It's weird, and I think it really, to be honest, it helped me a lot. To be very honest, like 5 years ago, basically almost 6 years ago, when I went through my first like major breakup and relationship, that shit made me go through like a dark time and like a confusing time, and it was also my first semester of college. So it was like whoa, like a lot of shit hitting me at once, a lot of confusion. Like I thought that year was gonna be way smoother than it was, and I got hit with like a ton of bricks. But that fucking podcast, listen to podcasts like the Joe Budden podcast, Brilliant Idiots, all these type of podcasts, and listening to that shit every fucking day, like it helped me a lot. And at the same time, I was learning a lot of shit, because they're not just they can't talk bullshit banter. It's funny, and I love that shit. That's just hilarious. It's some of the best content.
Yeah,
it's some of the best content that you can see online. Like even like if you cross over to like the offsprings of the Joe Rogan world, where you got like the Bill Burr or the Burt Kreischer, like
Burt
the
Kreischer, yep.
those podcasts. Like I love that world as well. The white comedy, you can say. I take from that world as well, but all that shit, man, like I just love it. It really, I can see myself getting consumed by it easily. So that usually takes up most of my day. It helped me 4 years ago, or 6 years ago.
Nah, yeah, bro, you support the podcast world a lot. Shout out to you, man. You're one of the dudes who you're one of the listeners that or supporters that definitely make a difference for me, because it's like, it's always good to get support from somebody. Like Jay Ramirez is another one. Like I look at you guys, I feel like are in the same class. Like, it's good to get supporters and from that are kind of, I wouldn't say in the same world because I'm doing podcasting but I feel like in the same world in the sense of entertainment and instead of just like pumping out content constantly, like I'm doing shit once a week and I'm working with other people. So I definitely appreciate the support, bro. Like you've definitely always like shared my shit. You've always reached out. You've always like, it's always good to see that the support is there from people who are out there already. You've been out there for a couple years now, so.
No, man, I gotta support you, man. I see the consistency that you have, the dedication. You actually have simple things that a lot of people don't even have. You have a logo, you have a name, you have a brand, you have a setup, you have a concept, and aside from that, you're just natural with it. A lot of people, because you can just turn on the phone and record a podcast, even just audio wise, without having any visual content. But it's like, if you think of it also, aside from just some shit you can do, and you think of it as a business, your benefits are going to outweigh your expectations way more than you realize it.
Oh, yeah.
And I would say keep going at it. You specifically keep going at it because there's like a lane that you're in that's not really much. You don't see that sort of like, Afro-Latino, especially both Dominican and Puerto Rican, discussing these sort of topics, being humorous, but at the same time, having open-minded, and, you have a dope logo, everything about it. You can see people like I would see someone investing in it. Like it has like, wow, that if that keeps going, like fucking 5 years from now, you could see that shit being like one up there, and that's really rare to see. You really just see people, oh, it's dope, it's whatever, but you actually have a sort of like if someone put like $1 million behind you, I can guarantee like it'll be fucking, all this shit will be like, you'll take off. Like I know what to buy, what to invest in, like what's gonna work. So I would say keep at it, man. And from behind the scenes, from just talking to certain people behind certain companies and things, I know a lot more than the naked eye might know, like things that aren't even public yet. So like, for example, Apple is getting into the podcast world way more than it seems. And it doesn't even seem like much right now because they haven't even talked about it. Yep. But they're gonna get into it within the next like 2 to 3 years, heavily. And there's gonna be a lot of laws changing that's gonna implement podcast to count as like streams. So like the value of audio, which we know as creators should be valued more than it is, is gonna be at a higher value in the near future, very soon. And I would recommend a lot of people, it's almost like the gold rush. Like everyone go buy gold, but I would say like literally, if you're thinking about starting a podcast, start a podcast.
Yeah, no, fact.
Like start a podcast right now. Like there's gonna be a lot of money in it, and there is already. But it's like also if you're not chasing the money, you might end up being still really successful, and then eventually the money might come.
Yeah, exactly.
Like we're working on doing a podcast soon, but the thing is we want to do it proper. So we want to buy like a proper studio setup and have visuals that we can put. So it's like straight to YouTube. Like the whole episode will be straight on YouTube right away, along with clips, etc. Literally following the fucking algorithms that are out there, the same JRE algorithms that a lot of people see, and they be like, "Oh, I'm not gonna copy that shit."
A lot of what I do, realistically, it's like I make sure I have audio. The important thing is making sure people have audio, making sure that there's the full video on YouTube, which is this ongoing thing.
Yeah,
and then the clips is so important, man, because like I said, people I noticed the jump in streams where between like not posting a video and then once I post that Instagram video, it's ridiculous. Like people see this one Instagram video, they're like, "Yo, you know what? I'm gonna go listen to that one."
Bro, I'm telling you, there's been so many cases that literally, especially with Twitter, bro. I'm telling you, eventually you gotta get on the Twitter.
I gotta get back on it, man. It was so toxic at some point.
Yeah, no, it's like that, but you just gotta like, you gotta like wade in it. Like it's, bro. There's so many podcasts literally who have been discovered and have jumped off because of a clip on Twitter.
Yeah.
Like whether we're talking about like on some relationship shit, like if you say some wild, but not too wild, but sort of like, you know, something that's gonna be debatable relationship wise, like, oh, would you buy your girl a Louis bag? This and bullshit like that. But if it's like, it's such a topic that's like, oh, discussable, you put that clip on Twitter, and that shit takes off. It's happened multiple times. It's happened multiple times, bro.
Yo, Sound, I appreciate you coming on, bro.
Yeah,
definitely got to do this shit soon.
Yeah.
If you have any announcements or anything to say, feel free. This is your last.
Man, nothing right now to mind. You know, I've been a believer recently. You can't really jump the gun on a lot of things, but I will say, there's definitely a lot of things coming with Complex Exhibition itself. A lot of plans for the city. I'm working on a lot of things behind the scenes. And yeah, I'm just really excited, man. And I'm excited for you, man. I'm excited for. I remember you was discussing like the comedy, the stand-up stuff, all that stuff. So, you know, I'm excited for that as well. You know, you got my support with that, and yeah, I'm really optimistic right now for the energy that surrounds me, my peers, my friends, everyone in the city, specifically Providence. I think that there's gonna be a lot of things emerging that is gonna benefit a lot of people in a lot of positive ways. So I really just can't wait.
Word. And I'll say it right here, right now, you and the boys are on the list for. I think I announced it on Instagram, but I'm working. I don't think officially, but I'm working on a sketch comedy thing with Meet Myself. It's directed and written by me.
Perfect.
Starring local comics, but also local creatives, content creators, artists, whatever the case may be. You guys are on there because you guys definitely fucking make me laugh every time. There, so
Thank you, man.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, man. It's one of the best, if not the best, medicines in the world is laughter.
100%.
Yeah, man.
Bro, thank you very much.
No, love, bro.
Appreciate you.
That was love, man.
You'll see Sound back on here very soon, I'm sure. So
yeah, man. And whenever you want me, I'm yours. You know what I'm saying?
Instagram.
Yeah, it's a vibe. Everything. It's a vibe. I got it before anyone. So
and then Complex
I got lucky.
Ambition.
Yeah, Complex Ambition. Everything. Complex Ambition. Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and yeah, much love.
All right, guys. Thank you for tuning in. I'll catch you guys next week.
My name is Jimmy.